I am not teaching, I am publicly learning. But hi and welcome to Learning for the Life in UK test part 132, the Second World War part 2, while doing morning stretching. And if you participate in morning stretching, that is at your own risk. And this subject is about war, and it's about the Second World. So you already had that in basically Adolf Hitler, and that had also support in Germany, wanted to expand the size of Germany, the territory of Germany, and they were building up a military during the 1930s. And in 1939, Nazi Germany and Soviet Union attacked Poland, and the two main groups were the axis of power. These were Nazi Germany, Fascist Italy, and the Empire of Japan. And then the Allies. These were the UK, France, Poland, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the Union of South Africa at that stage in the war, in 1939. Having occupied Austria and invaded Czechoslovakia, so I said in the other part something about Sudetenland, they just name it Czechoslovakia. I think the Sudetenland is a part of Czechoslovakia, but Czechoslovakia is today, I think it was Czechoslovakia, multiple different countries that had something to do with the Austrian-Hungarian Empire. That's something different. It's all here in Eastern Europe, if someone talks about it. Czechoslovakia would be there, but it doesn't exist today anymore. I think it's today Czech exists, Slovenia exists, and 3-4 other countries. I don't want to name them now, just these are multiple different countries where have changed that. So, having occupied Austria and invaded Czechoslovakia, Hitler followed his invasion of Poland by taking control of Belgium and the Netherlands. It would be really helpful if here would be a world map. This is too far away. Maybe I'm going to get a helpful. I don't want to use additional sources. Maybe I'm going to do it. So here is Germany, and so first occupied Austria and the Czechoslovakia. This was basically without war. This was an annexation. He invaded them, and Germany was too powerful that there was any bigger resistance. And then after that, the invasion of Poland, there was resistance into the actual war, and the resistance lasted over the whole 6 years of the war. And it was very brutal war, and the resistance was not against nothing. The occupation of Germany was very brutal in Poland. And then also taking control of Belgium and the Netherlands, so they are western of Germany. And do we go into it? Also in the north, they also annexed Denmark, and that came later with the Scandinavian countries, and that's a bit complicated. So he occupied Austria and the Czechoslovakia, and then after the invasion of Poland, also Belgium and the Netherlands. Then in 1940, German forces defeated Allied troops and advanced through France. We're coming into Dunkirk, I'm just going to read on. So in 1940, Germany, they also fought against France, and then they, after having won or basically invaded Belgium and the Netherlands, they were fighting against France, and they were winning in the 1940s, and they were marching through France. At this time of national crisis, Winston Churchill became Prime Minister and Britain's war leader. So that is important, especially for that year. That is the important part of the British part of the history of the Second World War. So that was, of course, a national crisis, because it was an incredible, impactful war. So Winston Churchill, he's very important, became Prime Minister in Britain's, and he became Britain's war leader. So Winston Churchill became the Prime Minister. We already had one with Sir Winston Walpole, 1721, 1742, and the other one, Wellington, I don't know the first name, Wellington. He became Prime Minister, and he was part of the Battle of Waterloo in 1815 against the Napoleonic troops. So Winston Churchill became Prime Minister, and he was also the leader of the war leader, so of the troops and how the war should be managed of the British troops. As France fell, the British decided to evacuate British and French soldiers from France in a huge naval operation. They are spending on the Dunkirk, actually, basically the half of what we're telling about it. Dunkirk is very important, of course. It's just it has an impact for Dunkirk itself, and of course, for safe people, but it has not an impact on the whole war. Of course, many soldiers were saved, and Britain helped the soldiers and so on, but it has not really the impact on the rest of the war. It's basically a closed chapter. The soldiers, let's see, were saved, and of course, the Allied forces then had these soldiers, and these people survived, at least the Battle of Dunkirk, or the evacuation of Dunkirk. But it has not such a great impact on the other things happening. As France fell, the British decided to evacuate, but maybe we're going to tell us the reason which I don't know. The British decided to evacuate British and French soldiers from France in a huge naval operation. Many civilian volunteers and small pleasure and fishing boats on Britain helped the Navy to rescue more than 300,000 men from the beaches around Dunkirk. Although many lives and a lot of equipment were lost, the evacuation was a success and meant that Britain was better able to continue the fight against the Germans. The evacuation gave rise to the phrase the Dunkirk spirit. So let's just go through what they have. So France fell. Germans were marching through France and they were conquering France. And now many people people trapped. British soldiers and also French soldiers were trapped at the coast. So they were basically retreating from the coming German troops, and they were going to Dunkirk. Dunkirk is at the coast in the Normandy. Basically, where also our Bayeux is, but that's a bit more inland. It's at the coast. I think it is actually. It's not on the dome. It's actually that big protruding part of land. So they had retreated as far as they could, but now there was water, and they were trapped. And now many British people came from Britain over. That is far, but that is not the closest route from Dover, Calais. It is, I think maybe they saw it also from Dover, but it's way more further the distance to Dunkirk than to Calais. I don't know exactly, but over 100 kilometers or something. So many people in pleasure and fishing boats, so just boats to make a boat trip, and also fishing boats, so boats to fish, went out, but also other, I think there were also military forces, but actually there were many civilians helping, and they then had driven on. They started in Britain and they sailed for many hours. I don't know it exactly, but it's over 100 kilometers, and then they rescued 300,000 of these soldiers who were trapped there. So they had retreated, and they were all on this beach in Dunkirk, 300,000 or even more, and then many people from Britain came and helped them with small boats and with, I don't know, there must be thousands, and took them back to Britain into safety. Many lives and a lot of equipment were lost, of course. It was in the middle of a war zone, but it meant that Britain was better able to continue the fight against the Germans, yes, because 300,000 people did not die or got into captivity, and Britain had them as troops, and the Allied forces. And the evacuation gave rise to the phrase the Dunkirk spirit. And that means basically the Dunkirk spirit, so that the people had hope. The Dunkirk spirit, we can achieve something, we can work together, we can help each other, and we can resist this often called excess of evil. Now we're having 6 minutes left, and we're going to do morning stretching. We will do nothing new anymore. When we come back to it in this part, we will repeat. If not, until the next part. So now to the morning stretching. We are doing forward shoulder circles. We're going back, up, in front, and down. And now backwards. We go in front, up, back, and down. Front, up, back, and down. And the last round. And now we are lifting the shoulders up, and we're letting them forward. We're breathing in to lift them up, and out to let them fall again. We're breathing in and lifting the shoulders up, and out and we're letting them fall again. And breathe in and lift the shoulders up, hold your belly in before the shoulders down. And last time. Breathe in. And out. And yes, we've ended with the arms up. And now the apple plucker. Retry and pretend to harvest apples high on an apple tree. You grab an apple, you turn it around, and you harvest the apples. And now, the last two. And now we are taking the arms to the outsides to T, we're breathing in. And out we're shifting just the upper part of our body over to one side by breathing out. And we're breathing in into the middle. And out over to the other side. And again in into the middle. And out over to the other side. And again in into the middle. And out over to the side. And again in into the middle. And out, we're going onto our knees. You're breathing in. And out, you're bringing one shoulder in front. And breathe in the shoulder back again. And out the other one in front. And again in into the middle. And out one shoulder in front. And again in. And out one shoulder in front. And again in. And out again down. And we're breathing in. And out one leg. And breathing in. And out over to the other leg. And again in. And out into the middle. We're breathing in. And now we're coming slowly with the round back up and making it top up with shoulder. And now to the garden pose. Toss our body to the outside, so we have a full line space between our heels. And breathing in. And we are lifting our arms up. Breathing out and sinking down and placing elbows against the insides of the knees. Now breathe in and straight up the back. And breathe out and come from there. And breathe in. And out back into the garden pose. And breathe in straight up the back. And out the back. And again in. And out. And now we're breathing in. And when we're breathing out, we're coming up in one straight line. Breathe in. And out, we're coming slowly in one straight line up. And now to the seahorse pose. Maybe we're talking about the Dunkirk, the evocation of Dunkirk, because it's one of the few a little bit brighter chapters. We're placing one heel on top of the standing legs, knee, and now we're breathing in, do it only without injuring yourself. And out we're sinking down. And also, yes, it gave the Dunkirk spirit, and 300,000 people were saved. And we had them as troops. That was an impact on the Second World War. So I said we're just going to repeat. So, in 1933, Germany, Hitler came to power. They were talking about the interwar period here, with the Great Depression hitting England, and that there was mass unemployment. The Great Depression did not only hit the United Kingdom or the United States of America, we're changing the name, but also Germany. And that was also a very important factor to bring Hitler to the power, because he promised that he will solve it. And he also he promised that he will solve it. And so Germany was building up the military. In 1933, Adolf Hitler came That's the power of Germany. If we don't have time to repeat. And we're breathing in. And out. And in. And out. We're breathing in. And out. And in. And out. Closing the legs. And out. So we will continue in the next part. I thank you very much, and at the next time.